What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screenheads TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 9. That's right, second to last episode, and it is so appropriately titled Fall. Alright, so the same way I start off every single video, another amazing episode. It was really good. I really enjoyed this episode. This was one of the more engaging episodes of Better Call Saul Season 3 for me. Not that this season has been the best season, in my opinion. But as far as engaging, it has me glued to the screen where I don't even want to blink, or I might miss something of value. So this episode definitely did a good job of that. Now, before I get into the actual episode synopsis and all that like I normally do, I just want to talk about the title first this week. Last week's title was appropriately titled Slip, where everyone was kind of either slipping back into something, slipping into something new, or slipping in general of their behavior, their decisions, their, making decisions, whatever. Now, this episode was titled Fall, which is kind of like the end result of the episode Slip, where now everyone has kind of fell back in to what was ever transpiring in the first episode. So I may make a lot of allusions to the episode prior in going over, maybe some of the meaning or just when I'm breaking down the scenes. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. All right, episode 9, second to last one, man. All right, Fall. Jimmy visits an old friend and takes up a new pastime. Chuck and Hamlin spar over the future of the firm. And Kim faces challenges at work. Now, I was mostly wrong for my predictions, I believe. I had a few things right. So, the synopsis says nothing about Mike or Nacho's story, so I'm going to talk about that first so I don't forget or get sidetracked. All right, so I was right with the Mike and Nacho stuff. It was kind of easy to predict with where the story was going. But that's pretty much the only stuff I think I got right. And I think I got a little bit of the Kim stuff right, too. So we have Mike, whose Gus's plan to launder Mike's money, in their eyes, the measly little $200,000, or $100,000? I think it was 2, is through Madrigal. That was in my predictions, 100%, and that's what we got. We got Madrigal, we got Lydia, Rodar Quayle, who I like. She's such a quirky character, and for some reason, I can't pinpoint it. Maybe it's the actress, or the writing, or a combination of everything. She feels like such a real character to me. Like, she doesn't feel like a character, she feels like a real person, is how I should say it. But I enjoyed that whole thing, and the way Mike kind of susses out the truth and how he kind of investigates very subtly. I really enjoy. It also feels like an ex-cop and just the way they go about their everyday life after not being a police or even while being a police, where like they're just so used to investigating or getting to the bottom of things or getting to the truth of things that they start to do it in all aspects of their life. And I love how they're showing Mike, showing that about Mike. He did not need to tell Lydia that he was an ex-cop. I'm pretty sure it came across as apparent to Lydia, who maybe not. No, she's very observant. Let me not go and bash the character. She's a great character. But for the audience, in case we forgot or we didn't realize it, he makes sure to mention it. I like that. So that whole thing was nice with the Madrigal, and I think next season more so, that was more of a setup to us getting down into the nitty-gritty of Madrigal and how it works, which will be a beautiful, beautiful bridge into Breaking Bad, especially once you get to, if you watch it all chronologically, once you get to season 5 of Breaking Bad, and now you know about Madrigal, I think it's going to make it all that more important and special. I think the same about Lydia, the same about Gus, and all of the characters that may have been side characters in Breaking Bad, to have them play bigger roles, or not even bigger roles, just be side characters again in this, but explaining backstory. I really love that. So then we get Nacho and Hector and Gus with another like standoff, which I love. and Gus plays that reluctant guy, and I think it's a total act trying to keep the peace between Hector, because I guess he doesn't necessarily need Hector right now, but killing him, like he said, isn't a suitable punishment for the things Hector has done. But not only that, I think he doesn't want to rock the cartel boat too much, because that hurts business. That sorry, 1 second. I should edit this out, but I won't. Nobody's salesperson. So I think that it'll impact and rock the boat too much on what he's trying to achieve and accomplish as far as building an empire. Now, I don't even know necessarily if the cartel knows about Gus's deal with Madrigal and Europe and all that. Maybe that's under the table. That's Gus's thing that he tries to keep from them. That would be nice. But I'm sure we'll find all of this out, because I really think we're going to get 5 seasons of Better Call Saul, just like we got 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, which will make 10 awesome seasons of viewing pleasure, where everything will kind of make sense. I really, truly believe that. Not that it doesn't make sense now, but it'll make more sense to you upon completion. All right. So then we get Nacho. We saw that he switched the pills, and now we see Hector getting so angry that he's about to have his worst stroke out yet, and that's probably because he's been taking these pills maybe for a day or two now, and so he's not really taking the medicine he should be, so his condition is getting worse, and eventually it's going to lead to a stroke. I truly believe that it would be kind of silly for them to change up the cause of Hector's stroke now, at this point, after they've done so much setup on the fact that Nacho is the one that's going to cause the stroke. And the way Nacho seems around Gus and Gus's men, I also would not be surprised if we found out that sorry about that. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that Nacho is secretly working for Gus or with Gus or whatever. I would also like that twist too. That's also a nice one. Which maybe could bring Jimmy into the cartel, with Nacho being the one to bring him in there, instead of it being Mike that brings him in to the fold, which is where I thought they were going with the story. All right, sorry, enough about that, but that was all good stuff. Loved it. All right, Jimmy visits an old friend and takes up a new pastime. A new pastime, I'm sure it's really an old pastime, conning people, rocking the boat, causing people's emotions to make them make decisions in your favor, is, I'm sure, a long con that's been around a long time. So I'm sure it's not new for him. Now, I don't know if you guys feel the same way I did, but I really, truly, 1,000,000% felt like bad for that old woman, for his old friend, which is it was one of his first elder law clients. She's actually the one that got him to start investigating Sandpiper, which we find out once they get paid is going to be a big payday for Jimmy. You're talking about 1.5 or 1.7 million or something like that. And, that's a nice payday. I would do a lot for that payday too. I don't know if I'd be able to take advantage of, well, he's not really taking advantage of the old ladies. He is, but what he's doing more so is manipulating them. But I still felt bad for the main woman. Her name escapes me right now. I really felt bad for her because, she's really hurt by this. And she's an older lady. She's not all that well or all that emotionally stable, let's say, maybe. So, this could cause serious health problems for a person of her age. So, it was really hard for me to get behind this con that Jimmy does. Now, I usually like Jimmy's cons. I usually like when he starts to inch towards, back to Slippin' Jimmy, but towards Saul Goodman in a way. But this one I just couldn't get behind. I get why he did it. And it's a big payday. And can I say I definitely wouldn't make that choice? No. But I could say most likely I wouldn't feel comfortable taking advantage of an older lady or an older person in general, or just anyone that wasn't, able to defend themselves or take care of themselves or look into this themselves, So, I don't know. But it totally is great for the character and the storyline and how he's slipping back into Slippin' Jimmy and falling into Saul, And I really like that, because this is a Saul Goodman move. This isn't really a Jimmy move. Jimmy is a straight-up con man. Saul is the manipulator of law. He's a non-ethical person. He's not necessarily a criminal. So we kind of get to see the difference between Slippin' Jimmy, and Saul in this episode in his tactics. These are Saul moves. These aren't necessarily Jimmy moves. Well, Slippin' Jimmy moves anyway. So it was a great scene, great character development. And look, whenever you could feel emotion towards a character, whether that be positive or negative emotion, the actor and the writers are doing an awesome job. So, as always, kudos to the guys behind the scenes as well as the actors portraying these characters. All right, next we have Chuck and Hamlin spar over the future of the firm. I like this. I liked everything about it. I liked how you knew Chuck wasn't going to back down. You knew when Howard got that letter, it wasn't Chuck surrendering. I knew it at least. Chuck is not that kind of guy. And in this episode, we get a better sense of how Jimmy and Chuck are cut from the same cloth. Yes, Chuck may be more ethical, more law-abiding, more of a straight-laced sort of guy. But he totally has that scumbag criminal-esque-ness about him in the way he carries himself, the way he handles business, and the way he gets things done. He doesn't want to back down. He doesn't want to admit loss. I mean, these are good qualities and bad qualities in the same, in the same sentence. You know what I mean? So, but I really enjoyed all that stuff. The actor that plays Howard, he just does such a good job at making you like and hate him all in the same scene. Chuck does this too to some degree, but because we're all rooting for Jimmy, it's hard to root for Chuck. It's a little easier to root for Howard because you feel like Howard hasn't been the total bad guy that you were led to believe from the beginning, But, oh man, I just love it how in this show, just like Breaking Bad, there really are no good guys and bad guys. Everyone falls into the gray area. Just like with the name of Walter White's company, Gray Matter, which was an awesome name for the arc we were watching Walter White take throughout the series in just riding this line of gray, of being a good man, a family man, but while also being a criminal and a bad man at the same time. And this show is doing the same exact thing. If you don't see it, I'm sorry you're not seeing it. Go back and watch it with what I'm saying in mind, and maybe you'll start to agree with me a little bit more that this show really, it's structured like Breaking Bad, but being totally and feeling totally different. Fear the Walking Dead could take note from this. Just saying. Okay. And then lastly, we have Kim faces challenges at work. Now, we all knew, come on, that Kim was getting, putting herself in a situation where she was going to be unable to handle all of this by herself. Now, did we think that it was going to unravel in a way like this? No. But it makes sense because it felt real. Everything about that car accident that Kim got into, and everything, if you've been paying attention to Kim, she's been showing you the signs of fatigue. She's been showing you signs of slowing. She's been showing you that this was a possibility of her being too tired and not capable of doing this all on her own. Now, I thought it was going to unravel in her losing all the cases, and it may still unravel in that way, and I still think that, and I still subscribe to that idea. But this definitely rocks the boat more and gives you a little bit more credence to maybe this is how it's going to start to unravel. And then she's definitely not going to be able to do it all herself. And maybe Mesa Verde and this new oil guy are going to see that. Or maybe it works out for Kim as far as with these cases, but starts to ruin her life or her health or something like that. But the whole car accident felt super real to me. Kim's reaction and the way the scene looked with the papers sprawled everywhere and how the car was positioned and how it could have been even worse if you look at the landscape and she could have went down like a whole cliff. Really, really puts things into perspective for not only Kim's character for us, the audience, but for her character within herself. And I really enjoyed the way it was handled. It really felt real. My mouth was hanging open. I didn't expect it, just like a car accident. And that's the way people fall asleep, where they're not, like in real life, it's not necessarily people nodding off. It's people zoning. And then all of a sudden, they don't realize it. Boom, black. And then boom, And that's real to me. I've been in a number of car accidents, and I'm not saying it always went down that way or anything, but this is the way it happens. So this was a really good episode, and if you look at it, it's a really this episode and the one before it, Slip and Fall, are really good episodes to lead you into an ending of the season. And I'm really excited to see what that ending is going to be. I got a prediction video that'll be posted probably tomorrow. Sorry that this video was late. You get a lot of things going on in your life. Sometimes not so good. And it's hard to keep up track with recording and uploading and all of that stuff. I try to do better with it. But recording always makes me feel better about whatever type of day I had, or I'm having, or I feel I'm about to have. Following the video. So thank you so much for watching. Definitely drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about Better Call Saul Season 3, Episode 9, Fall. Or what you think about the season in general, the show, period, anything Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad related. I'd love to get into a conversation with you about it. So drop that comment down below. Don't be scared, shy, or forget to like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. It definitely helps out the channel as well as boost my own confidence level. So thanks again for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.